You're listening to the snobOS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And yo, this is Terrance, aka Brother Tech.
And welcome to the snobOS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's show. We are getting closer and closer to the end of the year, so we will soon be wrapping up the show for the year and going on a little holiday break. Before we do that, let's get ready for this week's show. We're going to talk a little bit about the new 26.2 updates that dropped on, I believe, last Friday. And this is ecosystem wide. We'll talk a little bit about ChatGPT coming to Apple Music in a unique way. Also, there's this new thing called US Tech Force, where it seems like they, meaning the government, is forcing companies to provide tech workers from private companies to come and work for the government. Also, in the news of media, it looks like YouTube has the exclusive rights to the Oscars, which is the Academy of Film Awards, the big night in movies, starting in a couple of years. Also in further culture, it's just been really a lot of crazy news going on and not anything too great that I can think of. So we'll see what we get to on that. And finally, we're going to round it out with the hookup, where we're going to talk about your signature on your Mac. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into this week's show. Again, as I mentioned, Apple dropped OS 26.2 across the entire ecosystem. This happened last week. And this, I don't know, it didn't get a whole lot of, the typical buzz and hype outside of people complaining about the size of the upgrade, and some people are saying that it's making their iPhones completely unusable. Of course, people are gonna complain because that's what they do. We'll talk a little bit about that and the features that come with this. So I think a couple highlights are liquid glass. There's a way that you can have some more control over that. Some updates with reminders that I think people are going to like, and Apple Music has some changes out there as well. So let's start it off with iOS 26.2, because that is pretty much kind of the starting point for all of this, and everybody else just kind of follows suit. So let's talk a little bit about these updates. Reminders with alarms. You can now toggle an quote unquote urgent option when creating a reminder that triggers an alarm instead of just a notification. And of course, typical with notifications, you'll get a snooze option, or you can add it to your live activity on your lock screen. Some more lock screen customizations, Apple Music offline lyrics, some sleep score improvements. I check my sleep score every morning to see how well I'm doing. So that's something I use a lot. Some enhancements when it comes to AirDrop, meaning you can get a one-time code to share files with people who aren't in your contacts. So say you're at a conference, you meet somebody, you want to AirDrop them. You don't necessarily want to turn on your AirDrop for everyone. Just for that instance, you can send them a code similar to how you do your two-factor authentication. You can do that with AirDrop. Some updates with podcast features, some AI generated chapters. I guess that would probably help us since we do post a podcast. The AirPods live translations has expanded to the EU. Previously, we've already talked about, the Digital Markets app in the EU, where they're super strict when it comes to how they handled their security on digital content, some more regional features. There are a lot of security updates, 24 different security vulnerability patches that came through, including a WebKit exploit that I think people were being able to access your phone. Again, those things are always important. Apple News navigation, revamped interface with quick access to puzzles, food, politics, and other sections that are on the top of the tab, the Today tab. Again, this update is compatible with iPhone 11 and later, plus the second generation iPhone SE. I just ran through those pretty quickly. So I think probably what the best thing to do is maybe highlight any of these features that really stuck out to you.
Probably the only one that immediately is the alarms, the reminders in the alarms, because the reminders, the alerts are pretty generic. And with this iOS 26.2 enhancement, then I can designate what reminders are important versus some of them are just like a to-do list, right? Most people use reminders. Well, let me not assume. I use reminders for just like to-do lists for the day. Like, for instance, I got one for December. All right, it's a little list of things to do for December, right? In addition to that, sometimes I have to go pick up my kids. And I have to remind myself to go pick up my kids because I'll be working, I get distracted or whatever the case may be. My mind is already kind of filtered or adjusted to what the alerts that I get from reminders. Half of the time for the most part, they're not like, stop what you're doing, go do this right now. It's like, it's due today whenever you feel like doing it, right? Picking up my kid is not.
It's not just a do today.
Whenever I feel like doing it, right? So the ability to, add some oomph to an alarm by toggling it as urgent I definitely use that one.
Yeah, I haven't, again, this kind of came with kind of a whimper. I remember seeing people talk about it, but I just kind of shifted it back to the back of my mind. So I personally haven't updated yet. I'll probably try and go ahead and get that done today. But I did see people talking about the file size and issues with
Oh, boo.
your people were complaining about, oh, this made my phone completely unusable. And I'm looking at the features and I'm like, I'm not sure what has made your phone unusable. I saw some people talking about battery life. Oh, it's just sucking the battery life out of it. Have you experienced any issues with your phone performance since you updated?
No. And Apple knows, they're cognizant of how large updates can affect phones, specifically battery life. So I don't remember if it was iOS 26 or iOS 18, but sometime in between there, Apple put out a release or notes, or somebody discovered that even after you update to iOS, let's just call it iOS 26.2, there's still some things updating. Even though it's updated, your phone shut down and restarted,
And it
you
said it's
sign back
done.
in.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've updated iOS 20, not completely, right? So there still are some things that are still running in the background, and it may take a couple hours, it may take a couple days, So this came out on Friday. I'm pretty sure nobody was waiting for 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to update. They probably got it on Monday when, or whenever most people like dig through their phone for real on Mondays because it's a work day, right? On the weekends, you just on Instagram, you taking pictures, you ain't really checking your phone, right?
Right.
So again, speculation. Monday, people downloaded the thing. It still could be updating. We record this on Wednesday. If you're listening to it on Friday, there still could be some things that are still updating to your phone now, right? Which updating a phone takes battery life. All that to say, give it some time. Stop being so impatient.
Yeah.
Let your phone settle in, for lack of a better term. And then if you notice, and then run some tests for you to just say it drained all my battery, maybe. But also you probably on YouTube and on social media
Doing other
while the
stuff too.
thing
Yeah.
has, like I
It's
said,
still doing its thing.
still doing its thing in the background, you add that up. Yeah, your battery's gonna drain faster. Again, I'm not explaining away. I'm just giving you what it is right now. Past that, now if we're 2 weeks in and people are running tests and they see a drastic decrease in battery life, or you just got too many goddamn pictures on your phone, you know what I'm saying? That, yes, you could say as a result of installing this update, your battery life, but also you probably need to clean your phone out more often than never, right?
Right. All right. So that's with iOS 26. Let's head on over to iPad OS 26.2. Now, all of the features that we just talked about in iOS 26, the reminders, the alarms, the glass adjustments, the offline Apple Music stuff, the AI generated chapters, all that stuff is from the iOS 26 is on iPadOS 26, but there are a couple of other things that are on iPadOS that we can talk about. So drag and drop multitasking is back. You can now drag app icons from the dock, from Spotlight, or from your app library and drop them into different multitasking setups, including split view and slide over. And apparently this was a highly requested feature because it was removed initially at the initial launch of iOS 26. And now that's back. The other thing is visual indicators, which is when you hold an app icon over on the screen, it morphs into a different shape to indicate what form it will take when you drop it to either full screen, half screen, split view, or slide over. Do you use a lot of multitasking on your iPad, or are you just kind of like a single task kind of thing when it comes to iPad?
The former. I really don't use multitasking that much on my iPad. Even though I had the larger one, I think I got what is it,
The
12.9
12
inch,
inch. Yeah.
whatever it is. So the iPad Pro. I really don't use my iPad for productivity, right? So since I really don't need to be doing all that multitasking if I'm being honest, right? So no, I really don't use the multitasking features, but that may be also be because the multitasking that I was used to went away in iOS 26. And I kind of just, chucked it and was like, I really wasn't tripping. So it may look different and I really don't have the energy or the patience to figure out the new way. So bump
Right.
it, right? Now that it's back, I may play around with it, but can't make no promises.
Yeah. I am pretty much a single task user when it comes to iPad. There have been some times when I've, typing stuff and I'm trying to look up something. And, I'll kind of like do the half screen of what I'm typing and half screen of a web browser. But that's pretty much it for me. And that's a rare occasion as well. But for the productivity people who like to use their iPad with, maybe with the Magic Keyboard when they're traveling or if they have limited space, it sounds like people really liked this feature and were disappointed when it left. And so Apple has brought it back. So for you high productivity people, multitasking drag and drop is back. Enjoy. Mac Tahoe 26.2. A couple of things. Edge Light. Basically, this is giving you that light ring feature. How, most people when they're recording or on a conference call, they have like a ring light behind it. This Edge Light feature allows your Mac display to be basically a virtual ring light and it illuminates your face during video calls. So essentially, you got a selfie light built into your Mac screen. It says it's some accessibility fix. Screensavers no longer start while voiceover is speaking. And again, like I mentioned before, the usual cross-platform features that we listed, some in iOS are, and the security stuff as well, are dropped into Tahoe. So this edge light thing sounds kind of cool. I haven't updated anything, so I haven't been able to use it. But that's a feature that I think they will get a lot of mileage out of. And it's something, useful, but something quote unquote relatively small. But I think it's going to have like a high impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for people who are constantly on video calls, and as easy as Apple claims it is to use your phone as a camera and use, your phone as, you can use the flash as a ring light or a light or whatever the case may be. People will probably just prefer to use their laptop, the front facing camera for the camera, and not have all these other contraptions around to make, add some brightness or lighting, right? If you can
Right.
do it all on the Mac, then that's even more reason for you to use a laptop
Yeah.
over anything else, because everything is right on the laptop.
Reduce some of the clutter on your desk. Less things to have to worry about turning on and turning off and maintaining. Built right in. All right, watchOS 26.2. It got the revised sleep score system as well, as we mentioned in iOS. And they basically changed the classifications. Honestly, to me, it looks like they kind of dubbed out the classifications, because I think it's the good range is like 70 to like 89. So it's not like your standard, if you think of, school, D is like 0 to whatever, then D is like 60%, C 70%, 80%, and so forth. So they basically extended that range to what covers good and it's called excellent and very high. It fixed the music app. It resolved some issues where the music app fails when you're trying to forward, to a next song, that little control where you kind of can skip a song or whatever. Basically, it's fixed that. I hadn't seen that issue on my Apple Watch, but okay. Enhanced safety alerts. This provides rich information about imminent threats like floods, natural disasters, including maps of affected areas and links to safety guidance. And this feature is only for the US. And again, Apple Watch coming in clutch, saving people. It's letting you know, getting the alert on your watch and say, some stuff is coming on. Let us direct you to safety. So anything from Apple Watch that kind of says,
For
I
me,
like this.
not particularly, no.
I didn't know that the sleep score was on the Apple Watch. I've only noticed it in the, excuse me, on the health app on my iPhone. So I guess I need to pay a little bit more attention.
Yeah, you go into the vitals and it'll show you all that stuff, or you go into the sleep. You can go into the sleep or the vitals app, quote unquote, on the watch app, and it'll give you those measurements or readings.
Oh, good to know, because I always just check it on my phone. tvOS 26.2. You have profiles without Apple accounts. Basically, you can create a user profile without requiring an Apple account, making it easier for guests and kids. This is interesting. You can get into tvOS without an Apple account. Interesting. And kids mode, dedicated Apple TV app that's specifically for kids. And you can do age restricted content. If you have kids in the house, you can basically control what they're watching on Apple TV. And your favorite, visionOS.
It is not.
26.2. All right, let's see what they have going on in visionOS 26.2. Expanded travel mode. Travel mode now has a setting for cars and buses. It was previously limited to planes. Some new spatial accessory support. You can use spatial accessories like a Logitech Muse in Notes, Freeform, and any of the other Pencil Kit enabled applications that basically allow you to hand draw or use content with create content with your hand. There are some bug fixes related to AirDrop and SharePlay. And with the SharePlay, it's a bug that didn't allow users, that didn't let users use the feature with DRM content from the TV app. Okay, sure. And outside of that, as I mentioned before, there was a bunch of security patches,
which
and
I think
updates as well.
Well, I'll say which is the main reason you need to update iOS 26.2.
It's always, the features are great, the improvements are great, but at the end of the day, it boils down to the security changes. And again, looking at the fact that there were 24, and it specifically mentioned a WebKit fix vulnerability that was critical. That's always kind of like the alarm ring. And I'm looking at it now. There are a couple of different WebKit changes. I'm not sure which one is the critical one, but safe to say it's a bunch of them. One's related to memory, to our all of them. A lot of them look like they are related to memory, but I wonder if this is this one, the Trend Micro 0 Day Initiative. Basically, processing malicious crafted web content may lead to unexpected process crash. Well, I don't think that's it.
Well, just, I don't know specifically, but what I was reading is ne'er-do-wells, I don't know, hackers, whatever you want to call them. They are targeting specific people for now.
Yeah.
For now, there are specific people, and I think we've mentioned this before. It's been mentioned in the past, was starting to get broader. There are broader people, whether they be politicians, whether they be activists, whether they be whatever the case may be.
High profile
individuals. They're broadening the high profile individuals that is getting targeted, which is going to start with them and then eventually start to branch out to more people who may or may not be high profile individuals. Right. It may just be they caught you slipping, right? Yeah. So Apple is making it a point to aggressively attack these type of security patches in the hopes that they don't grow into just everyday folks getting targeted.
Right.
So that's the main thing.
Yep, I just pulled it up and it is exactly just what you said. Specific targeted individuals. Again, when they come for one person, it's only a matter of time before they come for everyone else. So likely hackers are like, well, if they don't say anything about these high profile people, then everyday people, they're not going to say anything about them. So yeah, again, like we always say, the updates are more about the security enhancements rather than some of the pretty and fun and even sexy feature updates. So take that as you will. As always, your choice, your option. But we're telling you the security fixes, and there are 24 of them, are what you really need to be focused on, particularly when it comes to these updates. Don't get caught slipping. Make sure you get your updates done. Next up, Apple Music is coming to ChatGPT. We've talked before how Apple has I don't want to say her name, the virtual assistant, how you can use her to do expanded searches. with ChatGPT, and now there is a different type of integration with Apple Music. This happened previously with Spotify. It happened last October, and now it's coming to Apple Music. You'll be able to ask ChatGPT to create playlists using natural language prompts. I know people hear NLP a lot, natural language processing. It basically just means the way you speak naturally. You don't have to fancify it. You don't have to have correct English, although, it helps to make it easier, but it's the algorithm recognizes a person's natural speech, because we all know it varies by region, by dialect, those types of things. But this natural language processing is going to be incorporated so that it does the bulk of the work for you to create this playlist. Say if you want to create me a 90s R&B playlist that excludes R. Kelly, that type of thing. You'll be able to say that into Apple Music and
In the Apple Music or ChatGPT?
What did I say?
Well, like
so it's in Apple Music,
but they're using ChatGPT.
But they're using ChatGPT on the back
natural
end.
language processing.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep. So that's the integration. And so yeah. So now it's one of those things where it's been done with Spotify, integrated, been using it, and now it's coming to Apple Music. So if you want to make your Apple Music life a little bit easier, ChatGPT's coming.
So I'm looking at this screen, and I find it hard to believe that Apple we'll have to see, because they said it's upcoming. But I want to make sure that I understand, am I using Apple Music and saying, hey, Apple Music, create a playlist, ... Or am I in ChatGPT and I say, hey, similar to how Spotify works now, right now I can open up ChatGPT and say, Spotify, just going to read the words on the screen. Spotify, give me the latest songs from my favorite artists that I haven't played yet. ChatGPT thinks, and it gives you a link to a list in Spotify that you click on and then save it, or whatever the case may be. I'm curious to if that's how it's going to work for Apple, meaning I open up ChatGPT and say, hey, Apple, make me a playlist of 80s and 90s R&B songs, excluding R. Kelly. And then it'll give me the list or the playlist link. I click on the picture. It opens up Apple Music. It puts the playlist in my face. And then I can decide if I want to play it or add it to my library as a legit playlist. Or am I going to be able to open up Apple Music and say, hey, however you prompt it, yada, yada, yada. That's what I'm curious about.
And I think that's the question, because I found this article in 9 to 5 Mac, and it says at the end of it, we'll likely find out more about Apple Music on ChatGPT in the coming days. But based on how the Spotify app works on ChatGPT, this is like you said, is in ChatGPT, but it sounds like nobody's quite sure what this will look like. What I will say is, because I think it may be different than Spotify, specifically for the fact that Apple Intelligence already uses ChatGPT if you want to do the expanded search. So it leads me to believe, again, this is speculation because we don't know, that it may be something that you do inside of Apple Music instead of inside ChatGPT. I would guess, but again, it sounds like we don't know for certain.
No, I don't think anybody knows. Like in the story, it says in 9 to 5 Mac, it says back to Apple Music and ChatGPT. The app will most likely work similarly to how Spotify works within ChatGPT, but that the most likelies. That's the caveat. Nobody knows for sure.
Nobody knows.
We shall see.
We shall see. Either way, there is some sort of combination or some sort of partnership. To me, it would make sense if Apple has this special relationship with OpenAI, that their version would not be like Spotify. They'd get something special since they've already are working with ChatGPT inside of Apple Intelligence. So
Right.
it'll
So
be interesting to see.
right. But my question would be, how do you prompt that? Do you do it in the search bar of Apple Music? Do you queue up Siri? I'd be curious to see if it does go that route.
Yeah.
How does
What that implementation looks like.
at the system level, right? Because we got to think
Right.
Apple really ain't all that friendly when it comes to system wide stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically when when Apple Intelligence was first announced, and they said, well, you could, for now, you can integrate with ChatGPT, but you have to specifically say, you have to give it the permission. So you got to go into the settings and go to Apple Intelligence, and you got to you got to allow ChatGPT to do the work when Apple can't, right? And then on the front end, when you are prompting or calling up Apple Intelligence, you had to say, ask ChatGPT, da 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 da. That was the cue to say for Apple to say, oh, you don't want me to do it, so I'll go ahead and pass it off to ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
You know, it'd be interesting to see how Apple tries to utilize OpenAI that integrates into the OS.
Yeah. And I don't think, looking at back in the article, I don't think we have a date. It just says soon. So, next year, because we only have a couple weeks left in this year, to see how this works. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. Again, I would hope that it would be a little bit more advanced, seeming that Apple has already this relationship, but I don't know. We'll see. I guess. All right. The last thing in the lowdown. So Apple is the title of this article is Apple will supply senior managers to advise feds on new U.S. task force. So basically, if you remember when Doge started just at the beginning of this year, and they were just slashing people, just getting rid of people, they laid off so many and fired so many of the federal workers. Again, because it appeared that they didn't have any type of strategic plan behind this. They were just getting rid of people. They've now found themselves in a hole, specifically when it comes to tech workers. And my guess is a lot of people, particularly in tech, don't necessarily want to work for the government. I mean, hell, even outside of tech, people are a little bit leery of working for the federal government. Well, the fix to that, according to this administration, is they launched a group called a U.S. Tech Force to recruit 1,000 technology specialists. And Apple is one of the big tech companies that are sending senior managers to help staff it. So this is basically a 2-year program where what I'm taking from this is companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, OpenAI, all of the big tech companies are basically cherry picking leaders in their company to say, okay, you're going to go and work for the government. You're our employee, but we're shipping you off to do a temporary stint with the government. And so this is going to start in March 2026. So in just a few months, and they're having these technologists focus on AI implementation, cybersecurity, modernizing government systems. And this is what is interesting to me, is that the salaries are going to range from $150,000 to $200,000. Now, $150,000 to $200,000 is a really good salary, but for a senior manager, for leaders in these companies like Apple and Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, OpenAI, this salary is relatively small. Most of these people are probably making double this. And so I'm interested to get your opinion on the fact that they are requesting employees at private companies to come work in the public sector and, the conflict of that, because again, this is a limited stint of them doing this. And to me, it feels, I won't say icky, but it definitely feels like there are some ethical lines being crossed here that I don't know how this is going to play, or how this is going to play, because this feels a little weird that they're trying to make up for the things that Doge did.
This further cements the idea or the thought that tech companies are the oligarchs in an authoritarian government.
I think they call them technocrats.
Yeah, whatever the terminology is.
Right.
This is what we mentioned it last week, hinting at the idea that Tim Cook is looking to get his payback for all the things that he did to help this administration. Maybe this is it. The broader, instead of being something so singular, the broader plan was to have more tech leadership in the federal government.
Embedded in the federal government, right?
That will help out these technology companies a whole lot. But the question is going to remain, and we probably already know the answer, how is that going to help regular people who depend on the government to regulate tech companies? I mean, this is not rocket science. These tech companies are going to get embedded with this government, and some of these regulations are going to start to shift and go in the favor of these technology companies. I mean, that's just common sense, right? If I worked at a company, or I knew somebody at the company and they fired somebody because they were whatever the case may be, and the company came and asked me, hey, Terrance, who do you think we should put in place to replace old boy who messed everything up?
Yeah.
Naturally, my bias is going to come through and be like, oh, well, my cousin or my wife or my podcast host or the people that I know, you should call them first, right? Not in addition to that, just me having a bias. If it's a federal government, I'm also going to do it like, and then I'm gonna go tell my people, so all right, well, make sure you kick me back because I'm the one, yada, 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 because I'm going to do it because I want to benefit. Right. I mean, and that's just me as a person. Now ratchet that up towards $1 trillion company, right? They're not doing this because it's being nice. They're not doing this.
There's no altruistic nature behind this.
There's none of this. I mean, it's like, come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You're further confirming our fears about this administration and its ties and the tech bros tripping over themselves. You're just confirming it now. I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? There's no surprise in this.
There's no finesse. There's no slickness to this at this point. It's just outright in your face. And they are saying 1,000 tech workers, but I am willing to bet some money that this number is going to steadily increase, because we need more. And again, this isn't just tech companies that create software, for consumers. You have some people on here like Databricks. You have Oracle. You have Salesforce, ServiceNow, SAP, Snowflake, Workday. These are all infrastructure companies as well. And I would have the tendency to believe the people that are being sent from these companies, they're strategic people that these companies are sending. And I'm going to assume they're sending certain people to benefit the specific company, what they do, what they are creating, what they are filling in the gap for. You better believe it's going to play to the interests of the companies that these people represent. Because again, this is only a 2-year stint. So after these 2 years are over, which I don't believe, I think it's going to be an ongoing long-term thing. This is just how they're selling it initially, so people don't get so, oh my God, freaked out about it. But I think this is going to have some significant implications on how the federal government works in the tech space. And again, I think this is just the beginning and unraveling some of the stuff that this administration has put in place. Once we get grownups back in the White House, there obviously are going to be things that are missed or that are placed on lower importance. And I think this is probably going to be one of those things, because you have a bunch of really skilled high-tech workers that are doing some critical work. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll just let them keep doing their thing and doing what they're doing, and not necessarily knowing what the underlying actions are for this. So I don't know. It seems a little suspect to me.
Doesn't seem a little suspect. It is suspect.
So yeah, I don't know. And maybe this is why all of these kind of tech bros, the $1 million that they donated to, to the inauguration balls and to the ballroom. This is kind of like their pay to play type situation. And $1 million to them is pocket change. And they were able to see the greater influence that they would have. And I think, again, these things are coming to fruition because we are just not even a year into this administration, and look at what has been done. So God bless us all. That's all I can say. All right. That's it for the lowdown. Let's head over to Second String, where we talk all other tech. And I brought this article up not necessarily because of what the actual thing is, but again, the implication behind where we're going. So YouTube has now gotten the exclusive rights to stream the Oscar Awards. And I think this starts in 2029. But what this means is a show that people place a large amount of prestige on, especially in film and music and, all that stuff, is leaving legacy traditional media, ABC, and going to a web-based company. ABC has had the Oscar Awards for the last 50 years. And this is the first time that the awards are going from traditional network TV, even outside of ABC, but traditional network TV over to streaming on YouTube. And we've seen what's going on with Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Skydance trying to buy them, Netflix trying to buy them. And it just seems like the tide is shifting. And I'm not sure if it's because people aren't trusting traditional media and more things are going to go to streaming services, or if YouTube just had the money and ABC didn't. They was like, this is our thing now. We're taking this.
The Oscars is losing viewership. Mm-hmm. And YouTube came in and offered them a better deal than ABC. The Oscars knows that they need to attract a young crowd because they are losing, like, for instance, like you said, Oscar ratings have plummeted from 55 million in 98 to 20 million recently, meaning ain't nobody checking for the Oscars no more. So the Oscars are scrambling. ABC offered them I'm speculating here. Mm-hmm. ABC offered their regular package or whatever the deal was. Mm-hmm. And YouTube was like, we'll take it, and offered a comparing, if not better deal. And with YouTube, it brings all of its young viewers because kids.
That's what they are.
are not watching TV. They are on YouTube. Hell, I'm watching YouTube half of the day, not necessarily just for entertainment, but just like, oh, that's interesting. Let me read about that. One of the things I like to watch on YouTube is big construction projects that have failed, right? And I'm not talking about like a building. I'm talking about billions of dollars were spent on these huge cities, mostly overseas, like Middle East, China. A lot of them are in the desert, that sort of thing, to where these oases, they were planning this big oasis, and some company paid billions of dollars, and they got 3/4 of the way done, half of the way done. Money fell through. Nobody cared anymore. And now these are just big old ghost cities. So all that to say, that's interesting stuff to me that I can't find on regular TV. I'm on YouTube, right? My daughter, she likes car detailing videos and deep videos of people cleaning dirty carpets. My youngest son, he likes to watch all of the Roblox streamers stream Roblox, and he likes to watch the primitive, quote unquote, I use some heavy quotes, primitive building, to where you've got the people in the forest, in the Amazon forest somewhere, and they're using primitive tools.
Gotcha.
And they're building these domiciles, right? Right. So all that to say, there's a whole bunch of different type of content. I'm starting to lean towards, original creators, not necessarily just copying stuff. So all the way around the world, to say, people are on YouTube for a various amount of reasons. A lot of young folks are on YouTube for a various amount of reasons. So the Oscars are trying to get young, and the best way you do that is go where the people are,
where the kids are,
and they're on YouTube. Yeah. So I can understand completely how the Oscars picked YouTube over ABC.
Well, starting in basically 3 years, they're moving over to YouTube. And I think that gives YouTube enough time to get their infrastructure.
They'll jazz it up. They'll kid it up. They'll have special things to where traditional TV can't do. They'll have influencers doing more stuff. They'll have more streaming type things. They'll have people reactions. All the things that people do on YouTube.
Love. Yeah.
They're going to be doing them for the Oscars. And like you mentioned, Google has enough time to figure out what that is. It may not work the first time, but you want to go where the kids are, and the kids are on YouTube. So
they are there. So I guess the final thing is, depending on how well this goes, do you think the other kind of, like they call them, what, EGOT? So that's Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. Do you think if this shift happens over to YouTube and they see an increase in viewership and interaction, are the others likely to follow?
This is just evolution. It's just evolution. We're not watching TV anymore. Well, we're not watching TV as much as we used to. If it ain't sports, if it ain't some weekly TV drama like SVU, one of the popular ones, right? People ain't checking for TV, right? TikTok is streaming TikTok awards or something like that, right?
Really?
Yeah. TikTok has a TikTok streaming awards, and I think either this year or next year is the first year they're going to stream them from the States. Normally it's over in the UK somewhere, right?
Interesting.
Everybody's on TikTok, so it makes sense for TikTok to host a live streaming awards show on their platform. Everybody's on social media, everybody's on YouTube, so, and when you add it up to all the shuffling of all these broadcast, these companies, and Warner Brothers and Discovery and HBO and Time Warner Media and Skydance, and nobody cares about all that. Yeah. All I care about is, where can I watch my shows? And people are getting frustrated because they can't find how to watch their shows.
Because everything's split and everywhere. They keep changing the names.
You know where everything is not split up? Social media.
Yeah.
I go on social media and I find my stuff.
Yeah. Did you see that Warner Brothers Discovery rejected the Paramount Skydance hostile takeover?
Oh, so, good for them. Good for them.
They said, nope, we are good. So now the only other option is Netflix. Well, for right now, Yeah,
If it
I'm
goes through, again, the administration has something to say
they can block
about,
it. Yeah.
right. And knowing this administration, there will be some reasons,
Yeah.
whatever they are, as to why it's not going to be clear cut as, well, Netflix, if you want it, no other takers. All right, Netflix, you got it. It ain't going to be that easy.
Yeah.
Not not considering antitrust and monopoly stuff. We ain't
Yeah.
even talking about that. We
Yeah.
talking about how this administration feels
They
about
have
this
control over
particular
everything.
deal at this
Yeah.
particular time, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's concerned about, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
The first thing we should be thinking about is Netflix a monopoly now?
Is
Because
this legal on
no,
the end of,
that ain't what we're talking
trade
about.
and fair market? And I think one of the things that also kind of feeds into this is it's rumored that Jared Kushner has pulled out of being a part of the Paramount Sky dance group. So he was a part of this, and a bunch of Arab countries, Arab nations were a part of this. And I think that's another thing, because again, people fail to realize when you lift the cover off these things, particularly the people in this country that are on that side of the aisle, they don't like black and brown people. And then you say, oh, we want to buy this thing with a bunch of brown people, then the hateful people are going to be like, no, what are you talking about? We don't want them. We're trying to get rid of them. So I think they, Paramount Skydance overplayed their hand, because Skydance is a Asian based company. So I think they thought they were going to be able to kind of slide this in by having kind of like the white face of it with the people who own Paramount. The Ellison people, Ellis, whatever their names are, they're the ones that now own Paramount and CBS and all that stuff. And they're kind of in the back pocket with this administration. So I think they may have overplayed their hand with that. So we'll see how that works out. But currently they've rejected it unless they come back with something else and they're willing. But as of now, no deal between Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Skydance. All right, let's head into Culture, where we talk about what's going on around us. So I had a really hard time coming up with something this week, because the news has just, what's been going on around us has just been so bad. You have the thing in what happened at Brown University, what happened over in Australia at Bondi Beach, what happened with Rob Reiner and his wife. It's just all been just so heavy and like, oh my God. And I couldn't come up with anything. And I told Terrance before we recorded, I was like, I don't have anything. Do you have something, or else we'll skip this week? But it looks like you were able to find something for us to talk about.
Yes, this was as a dad, my statement that I always make to myself, and I think I've heard this from somewhere, so it's not original or anything. Youth is wasted on the young is my comment. So when Nica said, oh, I don't have anything, I was like, oh, I'll find something. So I found this story, and I just wanted to get obviously, right? But
Right.
this story for the culture centers around Crisean Rock. She was the other half of this, I call them an online
Tragic.
couple.
Yeah.
With her and this rapper named Blueface.
Oh God.
Never
He's in
heard,
prison right now.
Never heard, not one. If you put a gun to my head and said, name one song by Blueface, I'd be like, man, you might as well go ahead and let me write my will real quick. Because
I only think he has one song, and it's with Cardi B, and it was really popular. So that's how he got famous.
But anyway, going forward, him and Crisean created this online couple, and it just looked and appeared toxic.
Yeah.
They were always at each other's throats, and then they would love each other the next minute, and then the next minute they would hate each other and they'd be fighting. Yeah. And I don't know if it was a guilty pleasure for a lot of people. I never really followed them this close, but there are a lot of people who tuned into their daily shenanigans.
Yeah.
One of which was her plastering her boyfriend's entire face on the side of her face, like between her ear and her eye,
Cheek. Yeah.
down to where her mouth meets her cheek. That whole side of her face was covered up, plastered with a tattoo of her boyfriend, Blueface. Fast forward. The toxicity can only last so long. They split up, or he goes to jail, and that's why they split up again. I'm not watching it that
Combination of
closely.
both.
Fast forward, now she has a moment of clarity, reality hit, and now has decided to go through the process of getting this tattoo removed from the side of her face.
Mm.
I haven't watched the video, but according to the caption, I'll just read the caption. Crisean Rock is seen crying in pain at her first tattoo removal appointment while removing her blue face tattoo. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on duh. Number one, you're not, I mean, I don't want to say you're not. It's not ideal to get a tattoo on your face,
Regardless of what it is.
regardless of what, who, why, when, where, right?
Where you work, what you do, that no, it's not smart.
Number two, it's not ideal to get a tattoo in general on any part of your body of somebody else's name if you ain't married to them or been with them
Or
for,
burst them.
or birthed them or been with them for like 30, 40 years. Her and her relationship with Blueface don't match any of those qualifications. Yet here we are. So while I am happy that, well, not happy, while I am um, appreciative that she has finally seen maybe this wasn't a good idea,
Mm.
I still, as the old man nowadays, is like, we told you this was a terrible idea. Now, I
Right.
didn't tell her that directly, but as it was unfolding, people was like, yo, what are you doing? At
Yeah.
the time, she didn't care. This is her and her man, young people stuff,
Young. Yeah.
right? Now, she's a little bit older. She's a little bit wiser. Now she is making the smart move in most people's opinions and is now removing this tattoo. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on this whole thing that now culminates in her removing this tattoo of her ex-boyfriend from her face.
So Krishan has been problematic since she has come into the social consciousness. I believe before anybody knew who she was a college student. She was a track star, I believe. Considered a quote unquote good girl. Like she did the things. Then she got into our social consciousness, and then I think all of that, you know, it getting this type of fame, especially social media fame, it really tricks people into thinking that they are one thing when it turns out they're not. And I think she has fallen into that because her and this guy, again, you talk about they were toxic, then they had a baby, but I think she was still, doing things that you shouldn't do when you're pregnant. And I think the child may have some delays or whatever. And so she's seeing the full, I think, circle of all the stuff that she's allowed to happen in her life. I think she went through a little bit of a religious revival as well. I think she was with some of the church girlies for a bit, getting her, life together. She was walking around with the missing tooth because I think the boyfriend knocked it out, and that became one of her signatures to take out her implant and just walk around with the missing tooth because that was a thing. And I say all this to say is how social media gave her this sense of, I guess, celebrity, but it's not really real, so to speak. So I think this face tattoo was just another, oh, people are losing interest. Let me do something else to get people's attention. Now it's, I think maybe she's had a realization that, oh my God, all this stuff I was doing is completely insane. That brings us to today, where she's trying to get this face tat removed. And again, she's a very, very fair skinned girl, well, woman. It looks like the detailing and shading on this tattoo is pretty intense and deep. And the thing about the tattoo removal, it is a process, and they can only do it for a couple of minutes at a time because it does hurt so much. And what it does is, sure, it removes the ink from your skin to an extent, but now you got your regular skin color, and now you have this
patch.
So it's one of those things where you never really get rid of it. Sure, you get rid of the ink to an extent, but your face is still messed up.
And to fix it, most people tattoo over a tattoo because of that reason.
But you can't do that.
When you get a tattoo, I mean, she could.
She could get tattoo makeup. They do that.
Well, no, she could get a whole nother tattoo, which again won't be as bad because you didn't cut the two things down. You tattooed some other dude on your face. Take that off, but you still got a tattoo on your face. So that's half, right? Because, and the reason why I say that is because you never, even when somebody does a tattoo removal, I've seen them. Mm-hmm. It's a weird patch, a weird looking patch in the shape.
Because there's lasers bubbling up. It's just removing the ink. Right. It's not removing because a tattoo is needles stabbing you in the face. And so it gives you an outline of the thing. Right. So you're just removing the ink, but the outline is still there. Now they do, like I said, they do have people get their eyebrows tattooed on. So maybe she can get some flesh colored tattoo ink. Or, she's just gonna have to. Just gonna have to cover it up with makeup.
She's gonna have to cover it up with makeup, and unfortunately, again, we don't know how black folks keloid, so maybe that may be some of that issues going on to where they may make it worse. Yeah. Looking at the video, again, I'm not judging. Mm-hmm. But the way she's moving and all the people in the room and she's streaming it, of course.
She's doing it for content. Again, she got it for content and she's getting removed for content.
Well, not just that. It ain't going to be done professionally because there's so much going on in the room. I'm pretty sure the technician or whomever may get distracted. She may not be focusing because she's worrying about what old girl moving around because I'm looking at the video. She ain't sitting still. She's so worried about what's going on the phone and the people in the room. There's like 2 or 3 other girls in the room. It's like, I don't know what it is. Maybe, there's some development there with her. I don't know. I don't know. All I can say is, we told you so, right? And may this be a lesson. That's the important story. May this be a lesson to other people, not just women, couples, people getting in relationships. Do not, and this is what I tell my daughter, she's 18, do not make your relationship your entire identity. Yeah. Because that's what people do. They get in relationships with people, and either that person or that relationship becomes their entire identity and personality. And when something happens, now you left with not only the pain of the breakup, now it's like, well, who am I? Yeah. Because I've spent all this time wrapped up in this thing, right? And I think the tattoo on the face is like a clear sign of I wrapped myself up in this thing, and now I have to figure out and discover and explore, who am I? And you don't want to do that on the back end. I tell my daughter, it's like, figure out who you are on the front end, find out what makes you happy, and then find somebody who you are willing to share the happiness with. Don't find nobody to make you happy. Yeah. Because them making you happy, the second they turn it off, or the second they do something you don't like, or the second y'all break up. Yeah. Now you're left with, who am I? Yeah. And a tattoo on the face, it's not representative of who you are as a person.
And be smart with what you alter on your body before your brain is fully formed. This girl was born in 2000. She's just 25. She's so young.
Yep. But it's a big girl lesson right now.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think it's more content because this is what their quote unquote job is. And this just feeds the content machine. So
all the more reason, find out who you are outside of the content.
Yeah.
Find out who you are outside of your relationships. Find out who you are outside of your parents. Find out who you are outside of your job or your title. Find out who you are for real. And then move into what you want to do, how you want to make money, who you want to be in a relationship. People do it backwards.
Yeah.
They think all those things define them. And then when you lose the job and then you lose the relationship or you lose the title or you lose the money, now you're like, I don't know what to do.
Who am I? Make better decisions. Just make better decisions. Make better decisions. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the culture. Let's head on over to the hookup for our tech tip of the week.
All right, yeah, so this is a Mac tip. If you are like me and really don't want to be messing with paper and you get documents that are in the email or sent electronically and you need to sign them and return them, Preview has a pretty good tool that allows you to not only digitally sign a document, but you can actually save your signature for other documents. So I'll walk you through how to do it. First and foremost, of course, you got to find a document that you need to sign. Instead of opening up in Adobe, again, maybe Adobe has this, but I don't rock with them like that because it costs money. Preview is built into my Mac.
And it's a PDF reader.
Right. So open up the document using Preview, open up the markup button, which is a tiny pen with a circle around it. Open that up and then click on the signature icon on the tools and then select Create Signature. Once you select Create Signature, it's going to give you 3 options on how to create your signature. First and foremost, the obvious one is you take your finger or you take your stylus and draw your name using the trackpad on your Mac. That's the first way to do it. Again, those look kind of crappy because I've done it in the past and it's not as tactile as a piece of paper. So option number 2 is to use a white piece of paper, sign your name using a felt pen or a Sharpie, and then use the camera option in the signature part, show your signature to the Mac front-facing camera, and it will find the signature that you wrote, and then you can use that as a signature. The third way to do it is to, if you want more tactile feedback from your phone screen, because signing on a phone screen is better than signing on a Mac trackpad, you can use your iPhone or your iPad. Of course, you got to have continuity turned on. They both got to be on the same, all the qualifications of using continuity.
All the setup.
Right. Once you've got that done, you can select the option to use your iPhone and iPad, and then you use your phone screen to sign your picture, sign your signature. Your Mac will automatically pick that up. You can add that to the document, resize it based on the field that you're doing. In addition to that, it will save your signature. So the next time you come back and need to sign a document, you open up the tools thing, you click signature, and instead of having to do it all over again, your signature that you save will be sitting right there. Put it in the document, size it, change the color to blue, whatever you can, whatever you need to do, and then you're done. So that is my tip for the week. If you sign a lot of documents electronically and you want to use the built-in Preview, the free stuff, you can do that using this tip.
All right. Keep that in mind. And with that, it's going to wrap up the show for this week. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva all over the interwebs as well. You can also find our show at SnobOS Cast pretty much everywhere. And you can also head on over to our website, snoboscast.com, to get all the details on how you can connect, how you can comment, how you can share, and how you can support the show. And with that, we're going to wrap it up for this week. Take it easy, everybody.
Real quick, this is the last show of the year. We're taking a break up. We'll be back in January with our tech predictions. So
tech predictions, see how we did.
Just want to put that note in there. So until next year, we're out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.